This marks the first ever Patron Select episode of Vertical Slice. For $5 you can have a chance at your topic being picked next month. This month's Patron Select is brought to you by the Rat King, whose topic was something about Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So without further ado, here's something about Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I just want to start with a quick story. The other day my niece was playing Sonic Adventure 2, and she kept dying at a certain point in the first level, so I suggested that she slow down. She did, and made it in her first try. When she made it, she said, "Oh, so Sonic isn't just about going fast." Which means my 8-year-old niece has better gaming comprehension than the average games journalist. But where does this mentality come from? Everyone thinks that Sonic's all about speed, and can you really blame them? It doesn't really feel wrong, but I think the feeling is exactly what led to this. It's something that fed into itself. The marketing and public perception are all about the speed, and as such, games like Sonic Generations are completely designed around building up speed. The better you maintain it, the more seconds you can shave off a level's time, and this is reflected by checkpoints telling you exactly how many seconds it took to get there. To that end, the game's collectibles like red rings and 1-ups are always tied to the fastest, most optimal route. But it wasn't always like this. Sonic 3 and Knuckles had a very different feel. I think it was around when Sonic 4 was announced that this idea cropped up. People started saying the old Sonic games were good because they rewarded skill with speed. The thing is, that isn't really true. Well, maybe a little with Sonic 2, but definitely not with Sonic 1. And Sonic 3? Well, I'll get to that. I think the rivalry between Mario and Sonic created a false perception of what Sonic's games were like. Namely, that they were anything like Mario games. The reality is that the design philosophies are very different. Sonic games are very cinematic. A lot of the game is designed around putting you in a situation and having you deal with it in some way. But these situations didn't have the level of abstractness that Mario does. In Mario, things are very functional to the point where they don't really have any relation to reality. A Sonic game, however, might have you deal with something like a cave collapsing, or a pyramid slowly filling up with sand. These grounded concepts help make things more intuitive, but also more cinematic. Which is why I'd argue that Sonic has a lot in common with what would become Sony's trademark, cinematic gameplay. Where Super Mario World has you running through a bunch of low-budget, super tightly designed levels, Sonic 3 has you going through messy, high-budget levels. In Sonic 3 you always know where to go, but there isn't a super defined route. Levels are less levels and more like areas to explore. You'll be presented with a few different nuggets of level design every few seconds that tugs you in a different direction. And along the way you'll encounter story sequences and set pieces. It's actually kinda nuts how many one-use assets there are in Sonic 3. Like these rocks in the first level that appear from behind a waterfall. Nothing like this shows up ever again. See, there's a lot less mechanical consistency in Sonic 3. Instead, you're presented with organic challenges that still make sense because of the environmental detail. You know the platforms will disappear because they fade into the water, it's very obvious. It's all still very video gamey though, like there's usually an ideal solution to the problems it presents you with. But it's all still very loose. And it's loose because Sonic's abilities are loose. See, you're not really rewarded for playing well with more speed. Honestly, if the game wants to go fast, it'll make you go fast. Instead, speed rewards you. If you have the momentum, Sonic can carry himself over a platforming sequence if you're feeling a bit risky. Similarly, going off a ramp at high enough speed will almost always take you to a brand new area full of secrets. And Sonic's options get even more varied when he gets his elemental shields, which let him breathe underwater, withstand fire damage, or resist electricity, as well as do a bounce jump, fire dash, or an electrical double jump. Again, in Mario, these would have a specific use. You'd use the fire thing to get through the fire area. But with Sonic, there's no defined use, you just have them. And if you keep them, they expand your abilities and get rid of hazards. And these things can help you manipulate the system to help you explore more. Cause the thing is, Sonic 3's biggest rewards, the giant rings that take you to special stages, are very rarely the reward for going fast. Instead, they're usually the result of slowing down, looking around, observing things. They're usually hidden inside walls and other hard to reach areas. And you'll probably rush right past them if all you do is focus on going fast. The level of agency in Sonic 3 comes with a different design mentality with obstacles and enemies as well. They don't exist to present you with clean platforming challenges. They're traps meant to trip you up. They try to punish you for being predictable, teaching you to not just hold right, and constantly observe and react to things. Really, it's the fact that every aspect of Sonic 3 works in service of itself that pulls together this messy game. It has this yin and yang of cohesion and inconsistency, which as far as I'm concerned forms the backbone for the appeal of Sonic as a whole.